right to more breaking news and developments out of Jo Daviess County, where multiple train cars derailed overnight in the town of Nora. Here's a look of how that was early this morning. As we've now learned from officials, the town has been evacuated as emergency crews are working to clean up the site. Evacuation zone around 1,000 feet around the area, which encompasses a majority of the small town that has about 100 residents or so. Officials with the Warren Fire Department say that any residents that did have to evacuate because of the derailment can go to the Warren Community Building, and the public is still asked to continue to avoid the area as the cleanup is ongoing. North Stagecoach Trail in Nora will be remaining closed, and at this time officials have yet to confirm what the train was carrying to prompt that widespread evacuation. You're looking at the map now. The crash happened at approximately 12:05 a.m. as multiple train cars were derailed at the railroad crossing on North Stagecoach Trail near East Chestnut Street in Nora. Now, fortunately, officials have reported no injuries, and emergency crews been on the scene now for nearly 9 hours, going on close to 10. We do anticipate an update from officials very shortly, and our very own Mike Garrigan standing by waiting for that press conference to begin. Let's check in with Mike now to see what other developments we've learned. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Maggie. And yes, Jim Kleinfelter, the Carroll County EMA director that will be leading that press conference that we're just waiting for, could happen at any time. The emergency management agency director from Jo Daviess County is actually on vacation, so that's why they're leading it up. So we don't have that kind of pertinent information, but just by using our eyes, there's so much information new. Remember at 5:30 and it was so dark and we saw maybe from 100 yards away about 3 maybe derailed cars. Now a much different picture, and I'm even going to back out here just to see all of the activity. We have counted at least a dozen cars tipped over. You can tell they are tank-like, whether they're filled with ethanol or not. We have not had confirmed. Canadian National has got representatives all over the place. We have hazmat officials too. You can see the huge cranes. They were doing some welding over here. And then, Tyler, if you bring over here, one of the cars have knocked over partially an electrical box. We had ComEd working on that as well. So just, again, we're 9 hours since the derailment, and look at how much more work has to be done, but they will stay here and do the work. And until then, unfortunately for residents of the small town of 107 people, they are not allowed to be back in at this moment.
Now, Mike, a lot of folks are probably curious about what happens next. Yeah. So for some of the neighbors that have been affected by this and all around the community, how has it kind of impacted their day? I know you got to speak with some people.
Yeah, I got to talk with Carrie Harris, who lives a block away, 22 years living in Nora, and how she found out about this derailment, not from hearing it or smelling it or seeing it. It's from a knock on the door from fire officials at 12:30 in the morning saying the 5 members of the family in that home have to get up and get out. So that's the situation. They got to go, as you mentioned, to the, if you wanted to, the Warren Community Center. That's a place where Canadian national officials are talking to all the residents that are displaced. So there's a lot of questions. You know, these kids are getting up. They did end up going to school. The Warren School District is what they're part of. They did end up going to school, but they have a lot of questions, and unfortunately the parents don't have many answers right now. We hope to get a few more answers, again, with that press conference coming up at any moment. But yeah, so that's the situation here. There's a lot of not sure situations, but there are a lot of people thankful because the very most important information that we can pass along is that no one was injured in this, at least so far. So that is a very promising thing. And again, you see the tankers, so they are concerned about any kind of a leakage of ethanol, any kind of air quality concerns. And so those are things that they are, I think, cautious, you know, going on the side of caution here by making sure it is completely clear and free of air quality and all that before any of the residents are welcome back.
Absolutely, Mike. Now, there are quite a few questions people have been asking us. You know, why hasn't there been information released about the train's cargo yet? Why has there been a delay? I don't know if you've gotten any of the answers since being there on the scene waiting for this press conference.
To tell the truth, I think they are ready to give all that kind of information. I've been asking questions all morning long, bugging all the officials. They're like, well, we want to wait to make sure we have all our I's dotted and T's crossed before we let that information come out. I really think the wait right now is waiting for some of the elected officials and people to come here so that they can have that press conference. I think they're ready to give out information as soon as they can. But even Carrie, who I talked to, who's a resident here, said, Canadian National was as forthcoming as they could be at this moment, but they didn't want to give any misinformation. So we want to make sure they have all that information together. They're in a unified situation for this press conference, and so I think we're just waiting for a couple of the officials to get here, and then we should find out a lot more about all those details that you are wondering about, our viewers are wondering about, and really the residents of Nora are wondering about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being out there all morning, Mike. It's definitely been a long morning for the emergency crews and you guys as well. Any changes that you've seen since being out there since about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning till now?
I would say I see more people out here now than I did even at 5:30. So there is so much to be done. And again, I think are getting to a point, I don't know, are we going to get a point where they're going to try to lift up some of these cars? But that's a dangerous process as well, especially if it contains the ethanol. So yeah, the biggest change is that they are just working so hard, and there's more people, there's more agencies here. ComEd, as we mentioned, Canadian National is here. So yeah, it is a fluid scene, to say the least, right now, right in the middle of Nora. And this is right in the middle of this town of 107 people that, if you recall, is about 7 miles southeast of Warren and about 55 miles due west of the Rockford Airport.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mike. We'll let you get back to being there on the scene, waiting for that press conference to start. Thank you so much for your reporting all morning long. And make sure you're staying with us because we will take that press conference live on our digital platforms and here on The Blend if we are able to before our show ends and it starts.